We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and I don't know the rest of that sentence. Shakespeare, eh? It's not that easy. Hello and welcome to the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter and today we are looking at The Tempest. Oh yeah, it's a bit of Shakespeare. Now this one is the 2010 release that stars Helen Mirren, and it's actually the screenplay. It's not written by, obviously. The screenplay and direction duties are Julie Taymor. So she's, I think anybody that's tackling Shakespeare is very, very brave, because I've done a little bit of Shakespeare in my time and I found it very difficult to do. Now, my connection to The Tempest is I have actually seen Ralph Fiennes in the title role on stage and absolutely loved it. I thought it was very visual, and I didn't know too much about the story. I knew it was kind of set on an island. I knew it was quite strong in fantasy, and that's why I've picked this to actually explore this version, because it is very fantasy based. Now obviously Shakespeare, he did write fantasies, and some of these non-fantasy ones do have an element of fantasy that run through it. And it is 400 years when Shakespeare died. So I thought, hey, this year is a good year to delve into Shakespeare and The Tempest. As you know, Shakespeare, he wrote plays, and quite a lot of them as well. Now, I have over the years seen Shakespeare performed. I've acted in a little bit of Shakespeare. I've read Shakespeare. I've even studied Shakespeare at university level. So I'm not coming into this totally cold. But you know what? I thought I'm not going to do much research on this. I'm just going to, use what I know about The Tempest, to watch this. Because I just thought, well, yeah, Shakespeare, it does come with a lot of baggage, if you like. That's either good or bad baggage. And I just thought, well, if you've never seen Shakespeare, if you don't know anything about Shakespeare, what would it be like just to watch a film of a Shakespeare play? Because that's kind of what you do when there's new films that come out. You might see a few trailers, but I tend to try and keep away from too much detail, get the general gist of what a film is about, or even a book or a board game, just so I kind of know I want to experience it. So I just thought, yeah, that would be quite an interesting way of looking at this. So let's get on to the plot and the setup. Basically, Prospera, yes, that's one of the main things that's changed. Prospera, not Prospero. Helen Mirren plays Prospera, and Shakespeare wrote the part as a male. So that's an interesting choice to begin with straight away. Now, she is the Duchess of Milan, but unfortunately she has been usurped by her brother Antonio, because secretly they wanted to get rid of her, and they said, well, she's a sorceress, isn't she? She's a witch. Let's get rid of her. So what they did was they bundled her and her daughter Miranda into a little boat and put her out to sea, hoping that she would die. Well, they didn't. They survived, and they found this island. And on there was only one inhabitant, and that is Caliban. And he is kind of like a beast-type monster, sort of human, can speak, but, he's kind of a bit kind of down to earth and monster-like. Now they, Prospera and her daughter, they set up a house there. Or when I say a house, it's a cave. Now it looks like it opens up. They've been there for quite a while, and because the cave's all kind of decked out, and she's got her kind of magic area set up with her instruments and things like that. Plus, she has a big magic wand, which is very good for fantasy lovers. And they are there. They're established, and Caliban is actually her slave now and does her bidding. Plus, she also has a spirit called Ariel that again is slaves. She's like, he has to do a bidding, and he is played by Ben Whishaw. Now, the themes that run through this, and as I say, I thought, I'm going to come in as though I don't know much about Shakespeare. Now, I've never studied The Tempest, to a level that I kind of really know what's going on with it. I've seen it a couple of times, so I've got the gist of what's going on. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do any research. I'm not going to sort of see what other people, what academics or what Shakespearean professors or lovers think this is about and put the themes to it. I'm not going to just copy that, because I thought, no, I'm going to come into this from my point of view and see what themes I get from this. And I think that's very important when you're watching something, because it's your own personal experience, and that obviously varies from person to person. So for me, one of the big strong themes is control and power. When you think about it, the whole premise, the whole setup is about power. It's about dukes and duchesses wanting power for themselves, the power to advancement. They get greedy. They want more and more and more. So just what would you do with your power? And when you get power, do you get drunk on power? Do you carry on, stepping over people, your own family? Cast away his sister. Now in the original, it's his brother, but what a thing to do just for power and control. And then Prospera actually has the power control on the island. Now, is she as bad as her brother? Because she then, because she has the power, does that actually mean you need to use the power? Why did she have to enslave Caliban? Why does she have to enslave the spirit? That's never really explained in this version. I'm not sure if it is in Shakespeare. So that's an interesting choice. If she, is kind of, she obviously wants power and control as well. And then also throughout the film, there's that whole power struggle, because there are other people that inhabit the island. They discover the island, they're shipwrecked, and they then start to want power as well. And then you get into a power struggle, mainly to do with territory. And there is also the theme of letting go of power. When do you let go of power? When do you realise that power actually is a fickle thing, and controlling and trying to manipulate people is a fickle thing? So it explores that as well. There is also there's a love story that runs through this as well. So there's the theme of love, but it's young love, it's naive love, it's love at first sight, it's innocent love. And then you have somebody looking in onto that love and saying, being a bit more cynical about it. And so love has to prove itself. Then you have the other theme of betrayal, because there are various characters, because obviously if you have power, you then start to get corruption, you start to get betrayal. So you have the other characters that they try to kind of woo Caliban into doing their bidding for them. So there's the betrayal that Caliban experiences. But then that's quite complex, because he's already kind of a slave anyway. So is he really betraying somebody, or is he just seeing for himself, actually, this is a way out of one situation into a better situation? So you got that theme running through as well. Now, for me, when I've watched Shakespeare comes alive when you watch it, when you experience it, rather than just reading it dry from the page, because they're plays. They're meant to actually have been performed. So you're meant to be watching them presumably live, because they're plays. So to me, the acting is key. Back in Shakespeare day, they're very wordy. Words were what, people, I guess, spoke more words. Things weren't as visual. You didn't have television back then, or cinema. So people were used to watching and listening. And so there's lots of words, and obviously the language is beautiful, and I am very pleased to say that they've kept the language the same. They haven't changed it to modern day language. Now, the acting in this is very, very good, some better than others, but on the whole the standard is really good. And so for Shakespeare, they have to convey the emotions very precisely, because there's some of these Shakespearean words I have no idea what they mean. So you can get a little bit lost. And it's up to the actor's job to still portray what is going on and what each character is up to and what their motivations are, and more importantly, what their emotions are. And they did a very good job of that. As I say, Helen Mirren is the star of this. She plays the title role, and she does it very, very well. There's that good kind of earthy power that she brings to the role. Plus, there's a tender, soft side, and she's a mother as well. And she can, she's kind of like a firm mother, but there are soft and tender moments as well. Really like that. They're notable as well is Ben Whishaw, who plays Ariel, and he's very, fluid. What's the word? Flexible. I don't know. No, that's not quite the word. Ethereal. That's it. Because he plays a spirit. And there are lots of CGI involved with his performance, and it really adds to it. His performance is kind of a bit weird and a bit kooky and a bit unusual, a bit dreamlike, and then obviously they put the CGI in to kind of add to that spiritual feeling. Really love that aspect of it. And lo and behold, I didn't know he was going to turn up, Russell Brand. Yes, he plays one of the comedy characters, and he plays it very well, actually. I was very surprised because obviously I know him as a stand-up comedian. So when you see his performance as an actor, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm impressed, yeah. It worked. You conveyed the emotions very well. He wasn't stilted in any way. He gave a good, fluid performance. And I really bought into his character. And of course, I guess being a stand-up comedian, he's got that natural funny, way about him, and he's very physical, and that really adds to it because obviously in Shakespeare, there's all sorts of different types of humour, and slapstick being one of them. So yeah, really worked really well. As I say, the acting was very good, and for me, that's a good thing because if the actors can't convey the words properly and the emotions, then you're gonna lose the audience because Shakespeare is hard enough, I think, to begin with, without the acting getting in the way. The production values are excellent, they're very good, they're very well done. There's lots of nice location shots and landscape shots for the island. It does create that atmosphere that you are desolate. Plus the camera work, is well done. It does move the story along. It aids the story. It doesn't really get in the way. It's not too fussy. I quite like that. It's kind of minimal. The one thing I will say about the production value, though, is the lighting. I don't know what happened. It just seemed to be the same a lot of the time, and I wanted different textures throughout the film. That would be one of my complaints about the film in terms of production values. I wanted more texture, a bit more grit in areas that needed it. So that was kind of like a minor thing. And then the fantasy element. Now, obviously, this one is set on an island, so you've got that remote place as well. And you got that exploration. A lot of the characters are new to the island, so they're exploring different areas of the island. So there's that kind of quest feeling that the characters are going on a quest. Plus, obviously, you've got Prospera, who has, as I say, magic. She's a very powerful sorceress, and she has a lovely big wand, and it really works. The special effects are beautifully done. The fantasy, adds to the story. It's very believable, and obviously that's Shakespeare's doing. What I will say, though, my final thoughts are, saying all of that, for some reason there was just something missing. It just didn't all work together. And I was trying to work out what that was, and I kind of think, building up the atmosphere wasn't quite there. And then I thought, well, is it to do with the fact that it's a play? It's a Shakespeare play. But then I thought, well, no, because there are good versions of Shakespeare plays. I mean, the Kenneth Branagh film versions I really enjoyed, and I think they're very good. Plus, there's the Baz Luhrmann, Romeo plus Juliet. That was an amazing film. So it can be done. And so I thought, well, what is it with this one? And to me, it's the parts. The scenes just seem to string along. There doesn't seem to be too much of a cohesion of each of the storylines. Now, I don't know if that's the play itself. I don't think it is, because when I watched the play, I didn't have that feeling. I felt everything was very interconnected. So I thought, well, then it must be the way it's filmed. And that is a shame, because I just ended up just going, yeah, okay, yeah, it was okay. And I wanted to be wowed. I wanted to love it more, because you've got Shakespeare, arguably the greatest playwright ever in the world, ever. And you've got Helen Mirren, who's a fantastic actress. You've got good actors in there as well. And you've got a great location. You've got a great story. And I was just a little bit underwhelmed by it. And that's a big shame. And when it was released, it didn't do well at the box office at all. I think it was made for something like $20 million, and it only made like less than $500,000, which is a terrible ratio. Which, as I say, I keep saying it's a shame, because I really wanted this. I really wanted to like this. But this isn't going to put me off watching Shakespeare on film. We'll be doing some more of those, because now I've got the bug. We're going to be delving into more fantasy from the master bard himself, Shakespeare. But this was The Tempest. The Tempest, starring Helen Mirren. Well, would I recommend it? I would, just from a experiencing Shakespeare point of view. If you love Shakespeare, you probably were a bit underwhelmed by it, but it's still worth checking out, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy it. If you happen to see it, or if it happens to be on, yeah, stay with it, see what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you have seen it, leave some comments under this episode. And obviously we've got our Facebook page where we can read your comments. We will be putting other things up there as well. We've done lots of other reviews, so check those out. Once again, thank you fellow imps for watching. Remember, keep it unreal. Yeah, people can live without food, but they can't live without this.
Get on with it.
Yep.